Our story begins outside a shady-looking management company, where a young man is being questioned about a massive loan. Inside, the tension is thick as the deal is discussed, and the desperate man offers his house property certificate as collateral. This loan shark scoffs, valuing the old property at far less than requested, telling him that the house alone will not cover the 5 million he needs. Panic sets in as the kid pleads, willing to take even 4 million. Convinced his luck is about to turn and he can win it all back, this boss makes a final offer of 3.5 million, claiming it is his limit, and the gambler's desperation is exactly what our protagonist was counting on. This deal is done and the gambler is sent on his way, leaving our boy to walk out with a smug look on his face. A moment later, a notification confirms the 3.5 million transfer is complete, a simple thought revealing the true nature of the transaction. This world is a place where the strong prey on the weak, and back in the office, the loan shark celebrates his easy score, but his subordinate worries that the deal was too good to be true. Meanwhile, our protagonist stands outside, checking his phone with a knowing smirk, mocking the loan shark's greed and revealing his own grander scheme. He has no intention of ever paying a single cent back, because in the future he knows is coming, supplies are the only real currency. And the wealthy and powerful will be reduced to begging for survival. With his plan in motion, he heads to a store to begin stockpiling, where he overhears a conversation about a ridiculously expensive ice cream, triggering a memory and a new, urgent objective. He bitterly recalls buying this ice cream for someone unworthy in his past life, but now he is determined to finally enjoy this luxury all for himself. His massive order of 10 of each kind draws skeptical whispers from onlookers. And even the shop employee doubts he can actually afford the expensive treats, warning him the final bill for such a large order will be astronomical. A nearby woman scoffs, vowing to bow down if he can actually pay. A challenge that hangs in the air and he does not intend to let it slide. With a sharp and menacing glance, he asks if she will keep her word, but she just scoffs, enraged at the very idea of bowing to him. Just then the manager arrives and our boy ups the stakes even higher, asking to buy out the entire store's stock, leaving the onlookers completely stunned. This manager quickly calculates the staggering total, a full 1 million yuan, a price Chen Zio considers a small bargain for his apocalypse preparations, and he arranges the massive purchase and delivery without a second thought, then turns to the other women in the shop with a generous offer, announcing his name, Chen Zio, and that all the ice cream is on him. But his generosity does not extend to the one who had mocked him earlier, as the arrogant woman is left stammering, completely at a loss for words, forced to eat her words and bow down in total humiliation before him. Later, Chen Zio sits on a park bench enjoying his well-earned prize, when he suddenly feels a familiar power awakening deep within his hand, realizing his unique abilities from his past life have actually returned with him. And he begins planning his next moves for the coming apocalyptic disaster. But his strategic thoughts are suddenly interrupted by an incoming phone call, and the caller is someone who immediately catches his undivided attention. An unexpected call rings from Liu Wongking, a name that brings him nothing but bad luck. He remembers her greed, how she tried to sell their ancestral home for a city apartment. This memory is a painful one, a flashback to a moment of intense struggle and betrayal, where a voice revealed he was being hunted as a special material for a young master. Meanwhile, Liu Wongking casually steps out after a shower, completely unaware of his thoughts, and on the phone she spins a tale about losing a precious gold necklace. This person on the line offers to help, boasting about recent profits from virtual currency. She feigns concern, questioning if her friend Chen Zio has fallen for a scam. But her true motive is revealed. She needs him as a witness for a shady loan, offering a small cut. This call ends abruptly, her manipulative request left hanging in the air. A dark smile crosses his face as he vows to be ready for Liu Wongking's arrival. Later, he pressures a designer about building a high-end fortress, but the man balks at the budget. But then the designer's expression shifts, a glint of greedy opportunity in his eyes. Our boy shows him a 1 million down payment, telling him to name his price for the rest. This man is absolutely floored, realizing this single job could set him up for life. With the shelter secured, he now plans his next move, stockpiling supplies for what is to come. He knows the real threat is not the disaster, but humanity itself, and weapons are essential. Walking through the city, he scrolls through his phone, looking for a way to arm himself. He finds a promising contact advertising access to goods through hidden channels. After asking how to buy, he is given an address and a time for a meeting that very night. But upon arriving, he finds two thugs cornering a person in a dark alleyway. This desperate woman grabs his arm, pleading with him to save her from her pursuers. He looks down, stunned to recognize her as someone named Li Yaoyu. She cries out in terror, trapped and helpless against the men threatening her. His expression hardens as he stares ahead, uttering her name with cold resolve. A sound cuts through the quiet night, catching his attention. In a dark alley, thugs corner a woman demanding money with threats, but a mysterious figure steps from the shadows, issuing a simple command. This thug's turn, shocked by the sudden and bold interruption. One of them lunges forward, furious at the challenge to their authority, but the hero's eyes flare with a dangerous crimson light. He stops the incoming punch with a single, effortless block. This leader grabs the woman, threatening Chen Zio by name to stop him. Chen Zio deflects another attack, his gaze locked on the real threat. He swiftly dodges a strike from the second thug, moving with precision. Suddenly, an ally joins the fray, and together they overwhelm the attackers. A brutal kick sends one of the goons sprawling to the ground. In moments, the entire group of thugs is completely neutralized. With a cold glare, Chen Zio dismisses the last man standing. He smirks, realizing this conflict is a source of power for him. He then turns to the woman he rescued, asking if she is all right. He offers his jacket, but she seems flustered and quickly departs. This ally attempts a dramatic code phrase, but Chen Zio is unimpressed. Later that night, they arrive at a secluded, well-lit house. Inside, the ally presents Chen Zio with a handgun and limited ammunition. Chen Zio accepts the weapon, intrigued by the ally's offer of a deal. This ally watches him with a sharp, calculating gaze, internally fuming over Chen Zio's casual haggling for such a rare item. Chen Zio quickly agrees to the price, his mind already on the next step. Meanwhile, a powerful-looking man thinks about a woman unable to repay her debt. This powerful woman decides the debtor can simply pay with her body. Chen Zio thanks Liu Wangqing, who coldly tells him to sign a servitude contract. He grips his new handgun as a news report warns of a record-breaking heat wave, and with the weapon finally in hand, he feels a sense of grim readiness. He stands poised, gun at his side, knowing the apocalypse is here. His eyes flare with a crimson glow, his focus absolute and unwavering. From his window, he watches as a massive, fiery sun looms over the city. A cunning man with a goatee smirks, sensing opportunity in the chaos. Elsewhere, another young man panics, clasping his hands in desperation. A third face appears, shouting with manic excitement for what is to come. A news broadcast confirms a massive solar flare is causing extreme global temperatures. Chen Zio watches, sweating, knowing this is only the beginning of the disaster. This entire city seems to bake under the oppressive, hazy sunlight. A woman covers her face, already drenched in sweat from the intense heat. Citizens everywhere are suffering, wondering how long the deadly heat wave will last. A shopkeeper uses a megaphone to incite panic, warning of supply shortages. He wipes his brow with a greedy smile, seeing this disaster as a cash cow. Two women at his stall complain about the ridiculously high price of watermelons, but the shopkeeper is too busy leering at them to care about their complaints. He gets uncomfortably close, pressuring a woman to buy more before it is all gone. When another man tries to bargain, the owner flatly refuses any discounts. From a distance, Chen Zio watches the greedy man taking advantage of the situation. His eyes narrow with contempt as he recognizes the price gouger Li Dafu. Inside a convenience store, a young man kneels, cornered by a large, intimidating man, who loudly accuses the kid of stealing, trying to create a public scene. This boy insists he was just picking up a dropped item, but the man grabs him, demanding payment. This surrounding crowd immediately judges him, whispering about his supposed crime, and the kid can only weakly deny the accusation, completely overwhelmed. But watching from the crowd is Chen Zio, taking in the entire scene. His gaze sharp and calculating, seeing an opportunity in the chaos. He steps forward, questioning the shop owner about his ridiculously high prices, and the owner sweats, clearly flustered by the sudden challenge to his authority. Just then, Chen Zio's ability activates, feeding on the man's disgust. This owner shoves him away, telling him to leave if he cannot afford to buy. With a dark smile, Chen Zio warns him about hoarding so many treasures, which enrages the owner, who threatens to beat him for his insolence. Chen Zio taunts him further, pointing out that his forehead is dark, and with a swift strike he sends the man flying across the aisle. He smugly diagnoses the man's condition as a classic case of deficiency, and the owner's pure rage fuels another power-up, netting Chen Zio a huge boost. Later that night, the store is quiet under the starry sky. A black cat slips away from the scene, carrying a small prize. Chen Zio reflects on his past, vowing to take back everything he is owed in this life. He stands outside, ready to put his new plan into action, recalling that the negative emotions he just farmed can expand his special storage. This system confirms the process, consuming the emotions to complete the upgrade. A dark, swirling energy manifests in his hand, his power growing stronger, and a confident smirk reveals he is only just getting started. A man named Li Dafu hides in the bushes, watching a woman leave, only to return to his warehouse and find it completely empty. This massive building has been stripped bare, every single shelf cleared of all his precious goods. His face contorts in pure shock and rage, demanding to know where his stock went, and he screams in utter despair, wondering who could have done this to him. But his anguish is being watched, feeding a system that harvests negative emotions. While Chen Zio calmly sips a soda, observing his handiwork, enjoying the show from the comfort of his own office. Meanwhile, rumors spread that the warehouse is haunted after a shadow was seen, which only adds to the confusion and feeds Chen Zio's power even more. Later, Chen Zio stands in a crowd, noting how stable Li Dafu's emotional outburst is, casually snacking on a bag of potato chips with a satisfied smirk, his eyes glowing as he decides to push his target a little further. He walks right past the distraught man, who glares up from the ground, and the bright yellow packaging of the chips catches Li Dafu's eye. He instantly recognizes the bag as part of his stolen stock. Enraged, Li Dafu grabs Chen Zio, accusing him of being the thief, but Chen Zio seems completely unfazed by the sudden confrontation. He calmly asks Boss Li for proof, telling him not to get physical, then turns to the crowd, asking if Li is going back on his word. An older woman tries to intervene, telling Chen Zio to back down, but the crowd is already turning against Li Dafu for his lack of integrity. Li Dafu lunges forward in a rage, but his punch is stopped by a strange power. As Chen Zio effortlessly catches his fist with a spiky golden energy, a sudden sharp sound cuts through the air, and the designer screams, finally agreeing to move the generator immediately. Chen Zio coldly warns him that power rationing is just days away. As a system notification confirms he has harvested the man's fear and pain, just then his phone buzzes with a call from Liu Wangqing. She sounds panicked, claiming that debt collectors have been following her. Meanwhile, the leader of the Dahai gang considers his options with a greedy look. Chen Zio feigns concern, privately noting the gang is more impatient than he expected. He probes further, asking if her pursuers know where she lives. And she insists she lost them, warning him not to try anything funny. But her suspicion quickly turns to wide-eyed disbelief. When she sees him on video call eating a lavish meal of grilled salmon, she demands to know how he has such food, but he just boasts about his massive stock. Liu Wangqing can only stare, her hunger and envy growing by the second. She wonders if he somehow struck it rich since supplies are already scarce. Chen Zio calmly sips a cold soda, savoring her desperation. He takes another bite of the salmon, leaving her completely stunned. Overwhelmed by the sight of the food, she admits how badly she wants some. Her tone softens as she asks if he still has enough food for himself. A cold glint in his eye reveals his true, predatory intentions. He smirks to himself, thinking how easily she has been hooked by his bait. He offers to pick her up, reminding her how she never shared her address before. She immediately changes her tune, calling him her boyfriend and sending her location. With a sinister smile, he tells her to be good and wait for him. Liu Wangqing scoffs, completely unaware she is the one being played. A painful memory surfaces of a woman and child knocking, calling for Chen Zio to open the door, and he stands before his own door, lost in the bitter recollection. He remembers his past self politely asking his neighbor what she needed, only to be cruelly rejected, screamed at for being poor and dirtying the neighborhood. But now the memory only brings a cold, calculating smile to his face. Back in the present, he prepares a burner phone, swapping out the SIM card, and stands at his desk ready to put the next phase of his plan into motion. He dials a number and puts the call on speakerphone, his trap now set. He calmly gives Liu Wangqing's address to the debt collectors, telling them she is an easy target. And just like that, the Dahai gang's enforcers are on the move. Chen Zio watches from his balcony, uttering Liu Wangqing's name with cold satisfaction, knowing that with all the pieces in place, the show is about to begin. Across the city, his unsuspecting victim has no idea what is coming for her. Liu Wangqing daydreams of a carefree life with Chen Zio serving her every whim, waiting patiently, confident that her manipulation has worked perfectly. She opens the door, surprised by his early arrival and mocking his eagerness. But her smugness instantly turns to fear as she sees who is really there. This air crackles with menace as the trap is finally sprung. This debt collectors barge in, their leader ordering them to take everything of value. He grips a bag, sneering that they will not be leaving empty-handed. Cornered and terrified, she desperately tries to pin it all on Chen Zio, claiming he has tons of supplies and is on his way to pick her up. But when she tries to call him, the number is suddenly unavailable. While on his end, the call comes through, ringing completely unanswered, leaving her to wait in growing terror as her last hope fades away. Liu Wangqing panics, realizing her desperate call is not being answered, as the Dahai gang leader grabs her while she struggles to get away. She screams for them to find Chen Zio, who has all the supplies they want. And thrown to the floor, she is completely at the mercy of the ruthless gang. A door slams shut, sealing her fate with the furious debt collectors. But Chen Zio is just calmly watching it all unfold from his monitor. This gang leader slams a mug down, his patience clearly worn thin, and he interrogates Liu Wangqing, demanding she repeat what she said about the stash. A greedy smile spreads across his face as he gives the order to move out. This trashed apartment is left behind, evidence of the violent encounter. That night, the entire gang marches through the streets toward their new target, their determined footsteps echoing through the quiet residential area. An old woman leads them, revealing Chen Zio's location and his massive stockpile, and the leader promises her a generous share of the goods for her betrayal. From above, the group is seen approaching Chen Zio's fortified apartment building. And the leader looks up, realizing this kid might have some tricks up his sleeve. They stand before the building, ready to storm the place and take everything. One of the thugs eagerly steps forward, vowing to kick the door down himself, but he is instantly zapped by an electric trap, screaming in agony. This leader jumps back in shock as arcs of electricity block their path. Inside, Chen Zio calmly enjoys an ice cream, completely unfazed by the commotion. And he presses a red button, issuing a final cold warning to his unwanted guests. This gang leader and his men can only stare up in pure unadulterated rage, screaming that the Dahai gang will get him, feeding Chen Zio's system more anger. This old woman who led them there glares, her face twisted with resentment. A lone woman approaches the building, unaware of the dark presence looming over it. Inside, a news report warns of rising deaths from the extreme heat wave. His phone buzzes relentlessly, but he remains completely unfazed. As angry messages flood his screen from neighbors demanding he share his supplies, they call him a selfish murderer, insisting he owes them an explanation. But their rage only fuels his power, pushing his negative emotion count past 1,000. With a smirk, he opens his fully stocked fridge and snaps a picture, sending the photo directly into the group chat to taunt them further. This chat immediately erupts with desperate pleas for food and water from his neighbors. But Chen Zio makes it clear he is not running a charity, they must trade for supplies. His refusal sends them into a frenzy of curses and threats, while he just leans back, calmly absorbing their collective outrage. A system notification confirms he has reached a new threshold, unlocking a skill upgrade, granting him a new ability called Space Cutting with a 3-meter range. He considers this new power a dangerous tool for the fights to come. He decides to test his new skill on a nearby apple, which is instantly sliced in two by an invisible force. Just then, a rugged SUV pulls up outside, flanked by 2 imposing men in suits. Inside, the Dahai gang leader smirks, ready to collect his debt. Liu Wangqing is with him, dismissing Chen Zio as a useless piece of trash. She leans in close, vowing that tonight will be his last. 2 of his neighbors spot the gang and eagerly offer their assistance, guiding the armed group right to Chen Zio's front door. But the gang leader stops him, declaring the entire building is now his property. His armed crew stands ready, staring up at the building with violent intent. This Dahai gang leader threatens to kill Chen Zio if he does not hand over his supplies, but our boy simply sits calmly, wiping his mouth after his meal. His eyes glow red as he scolds them for interrupting him while he was eating, a response that leaves the gang leader completely stunned and enraged. He screams for his men to attack, holding Liu Wangqing as a human shield. Chen Zio faces the oncoming thugs, his expression cold and unbothered. With a single, brutal punch, he sends the first attacker flying backwards. Another goon swings a pipe, but Chen Zio is already moving to counter. Suddenly, the leader chokes on tear gas, ordering a hasty retreat. After the thugs flee, Chen Zio turns to find an unexpected visitor. A man with a ponytail offers him a cooler, amazed he has ice water. Chen Zio eyes him with suspicion, asking what he is trying to say. This man insists he is not prying, just making a friendly gesture. But he is left speechless when Chen Zio suggests they should cooperate. Chen Zio demands a 90-10 profit split, which the man calls blatant robbery. His system harvests the man's shock as he coldly dismisses the complaint. This man is reduced to begging, clinging to his leg for an 80-20 deal. He realizes Chen Zio must have a trump card and is his only real option. Chen Zio agrees to 80-20 but adds that he gets first pick of all new goods. This new ally reluctantly accepts the ruthless terms of their new partnership. With the deal settled, Chen Zio immediately begins to plan their first move. From a rooftop, they survey a compound where water is a precious commodity. His partner explains the grim setup, armed guards and captured women inside. Chen Zio plans to sneak in while his ally creates a diversion outside. He simply says he has his ways, leaping silently over the compound walls. Chen Zio moves stealthily through the dark industrial complex alone, where a guard suddenly confronts him, shotgun raised and demanding id. But Chen Zio's system harvests the man's mockery, ready to test his new skill. With a swift, invisible strike, he unleashes his space-cutting ability, and the guard falls instantly, his weapon clattering to the ground. His system lights up, confirming a massive harvest of terror and pain. A second guard discovers the scene and panics, drawing his own weapon. Inside the compound, dozens of people are gathered near a massive water tank, while heavily armed guards patrol the perimeter, searching for intruders. Inside a dark room, a woman with purple hair signals for him to be quiet, confirming she knows the layout and can lead him to the water supply. While she guides him, his partner creates a loud diversion outside the walls, and the guards immediately take the bait, rushing toward the sound. This gives Chen Zio and his new guide the perfect chance to slip away unseen. But inside the water storage, a lone guard is startled by their sudden entry, and Chen Zio's eyes flare red, ready to end this quickly. He lunges forward, his attack a blur of deadly crimson energy, and the guard chokes, caught by an unseen force around his neck. This system rewards him with another huge surge of negative emotions. This woman watches from the doorway, worried about the outcome, until she suddenly screams, smashing a nearby lock with a brick. She turns to Chen Zio, her expression intense and unreadable, holding a pistol which she offers to him without a word, and he takes it, firing a single shot into the air as a signal. On a nearby rooftop, his partner sees the flare and prepares his own attack. Chen Zio's partner creates a diversion, shouting about an incendiary bomb, and leads a woman through an alley as the compound erupts in flames. From the shadows, Chen Zio watches his plan unfold with a cold gaze. As he confronts a woman from his past, mocking her tears, he reminds her of every betrayal, every cruel word she ever said to him. His eyes burn with the memory of his past humiliation, while her face fills with the terror of her actions coming back to haunt her. A flashback reveals her smirking as he was beaten and left for dead, but in his mind he sees himself getting the last laugh on his tormentors. Back in the present, he turns to the woman he has rescued and says it is time to go, leaving his treacherous ex-girlfriend alone in the alley to face the consequences. She screams after him, vowing to bring him down with her if she is going to die. This compound leader panics, screaming about the safety of his precious water supply, and his armed guards burst out, ready to deal with the chaos. They stare down at the spreading fire, the diversion working perfectly. Just then, the spurned woman whispers to the leader, calling Chen Zio trash, insisting he is unworthy of the massive resources he is hoarding. She lies that Chen Zio threatened to kill every last one of them, and the enraged leader orders his men to the south gate to slaughter him. His face twists with pure fury, his mind set on revenge. He points toward the gate, sending his entire crew to take Chen Zio down. Meanwhile, Chen Zio and his partner watch the fire from a safe distance. and our boy smirks, ready to harvest all the negative emotions from the chaos. A system notification confirms he has hit 3,000 points, unlocking a new skill. This compound leader's face shows a cunning look, completely unaware he has been played. This rescued woman thanks Chen Zio, admitting she was trapped in a hellhole, and though he dismisses it, she says he restored her faith in humanity. His new partner chimes in, praising Chen Zio's heroic rescue move. Chen Zio reveals a mountain of water, telling them to figure out how to sell it. This woman then asks what happened to him after middle school, explaining that her own family suffered a terrible accident around that time. Her expression darkens as she relives the painful memory, and Chen Zio asks what happened to her parents. She remembers walking into a grim, blood-stained room, revealing that both of her parents disappeared without a trace. Both Chen Zio and his partner listen with grim expressions. Suddenly, their monitors show the diversion is underway. A fire has been set, but the flames have trapped a woman and child who are screaming for help. This partner slams the desk in a rage, cursing the man who set the blaze. Chen Zio sees the trap and attempts to use his morality against him, just like in his past life, but a cold smile shows he is no longer the naive person he once was. He calmly explains his safe house has the best fire protection system available. Outside, a strange mist erupts from the ground, instantly containing the fire. His allies are stunned, recognizing the military-grade nano-aerogel technology. This enemy leader watches from below as his fire attack is completely neutralized, and he scoffs, dismissing it as nothing more than a desperate move. His men prepare for a direct assault, ready to break through the defenses. But a thug reports their fuel is gone and the mist is interfering with their plans. This leader realizes force will not work, deciding to abandon all decency, revealing he has taken two of Chen Zio's neighbors hostage. Chen Zio's expression hardens, his eyes cold and resolved. His new partner rages about a man named Liu Heifeng who is blackmailing people. Outside, Liu Heifeng holds an old man hostage, threatening to kill him, and Chen Zio watches on a monitor, recognizing the captive as Old Man Wang. He tells his partner to stay and protect the woman while he handles this. Stepping out into the chaos, he is completely unfazed by the flames. He confronts the villain, declaring this fight is between them and them alone. Liu Heifeng mocks him, demanding all his supplies in exchange for the old man's life. But Chen Zio just smirks, not interested in playing the hero. He is not here to negotiate, only to end this. Instead, he proposes a wager, a simple game to decide everything. This two men lock eyes, the tension crackling between them. They agree to a game of dice, each slamming their cup onto the ground. But Liu Heifeng has a trick, pressing a hidden button on his cup, activating a magnetic device to rig the outcome in his favor. He reveals a perfect roll of 3 sixes, declaring his victory. Chen Zio's cup is shattered, but he has a confident smile on his face. His dice are broken, but he claims a total of 21 points, beating the perfect roll. He calmly declares the game over, telling the gang leader to honor their deal. Liu Heifeng can only stare in disbelief, his plan completely foiled. Enraged, the gang leader pulls a knife, refusing to accept his loss. But something zips past his head with incredible speed. Chen Zio kicks a massive gas canister right at him, which erupts in a cloud of thick, disorienting smoke. Through the haze, Liu Heifeng spots his target and orders his men forward. A thug lunges with a knife, but his blade is stopped cold by an invisible barrier, and Chen Zio emerges from the smoke without a single scratch on him. Liu Heifeng's men escalate, pulling out a rocket launcher to finish the job. But as the rocket screams toward him, a blue energy shield materializes, shattering the projectile before it can even make contact, leaving Liu Heifeng stunned. He stands completely unfazed, having effortlessly deflected a direct missile strike. Chen Zio smirks, taunting the gang leader for his inability to accept defeat, his eyes glowing red as he asks if the boss is going to break their deal. And from above, a massive sword plummets down, embedding itself in the ground. Chen Zio casually crushes the sword's hilt under his foot, a clear show of power, telling Liu Heifeng he is not even qualified to negotiate without a proper weapon. With cold fury, he declares that Liu Heifeng has crossed the line one too many times. This gang leader realizes he is outmatched. This kid has strange powers and a fortress. This pressure mounts as he desperately tries to think of a way out of this, his demeanor flipping instantly, now begging for a deal and calling it a misunderstanding. A man ponders the release schedule of a new series, a strange break in the action, but Chen Zio's cold, calculating gaze reveals he is already one step ahead, putting a hand on the leader's shoulder, reminding him how valuable antibiotics are now. He leans in close, revealing his stockpile is far larger than Liu Heifeng can imagine. This leader counters, offering access to a hidden stash of medicine he alone can unlock. Shrouded in shadow, Chen Zio simply agrees with a single ominous word. Visibly relieved, the gang leader declares their business for the night is concluded. His underlings look on in confusion, questioning their boss's sudden retreat, but he waves them off with confidence, ordering his men to pull back for now. Chen Zio watches from the steps as the entire gang retreats into the night. He boasts that a simple password cannot possibly stop him, his cold confidence radiating as he plans his next move. He reassures Old Man Wang and the others that the threat has passed, but the old woman who betrayed him watches with pure hatred. Her face contorts with terror and rage at his victory, feeding his system another 100 points of fear. This grateful old man thanks Chen Zio for saving his life, offering his help. But our boy just tells him to go home and lock his door. Under a blood-red moon, the city remains a dangerous place. Elsewhere, a group of thugs complains about how terrifying Chen Zio was, but their new leader scoffs, dismissing any idea of cooperation. He reveals it was all a ploy to get his hands on the supplies, and while his men praise him, they admit Chen Zio seems unnaturally tough. This leader orders one of his men to investigate their target, but he is suddenly choked by an unseen, shadowy force. His men scream about a ghost and flee in terror as their boss falls, leaving his body alone in the dark alley. From a rooftop above, Chen Zio watches his handiwork, the silent executioner. An emergency broadcast warns the world the heat wave is out of control. Citizens are told to either evacuate north or wait for a rescue that may never come. But Chen Zio knows better, calling both options a complete delusion. And just as things could not get worse, a monstrous creature appears, while his neighbors outside seethe with jealousy over his safe house. One man pounds on the door, blaming Chen Zio for their suffering, as the crowd demands he share his home for their collective survival. Back in his safe house, Chen Zio casually cooks a meal, snapping a photo of the delicious steak he just prepared. His post in the group chat sends his enemies into a jealous rage, and 3 of them ambush him outside, one lunging with a knife. But Chen Zio effortlessly catches the blade, stopping the attack cold, twisting the thug's arm with bone-crushing force. A second attacker with a cleaver rushes in from behind, but Chen Zio's eyes glow red, ready for the fight. In a flash of brutal motion, he begins his counterattack, striking with lethal precision and taking down the first goon. This second thug screams in agony as he is brutally subdued, and the last man standing accuses him of murder in broad daylight. This system rewards him with a massive harvest of fear. As Chen Zio looms over him, cleaver in hand, he scoffs, saying killing them would only dirty his hands. He then heads to a desolate industrial area for his next move. Approaching a rundown warehouse with a sealed metal door, he spots a security camera watching his every move. And with a flick of his wrist, he unleashes his space-cutting power, instantly shattering the lens from a distance. He takes out all the cameras, clearing his path forward. With the surveillance gone, he carefully pushes the door open, only to be hit by a wave of thick, acrid smoke. He chokes, realizing too late that it is poison gas, and he collapses to his knees, his strength fading fast. Chen Zio slumps over in a dark warehouse, his mind hazy and filled with strange visions. And he is clearly disoriented, sweating profusely from the unknown ordeal. A figure in a gas mask injects him with a mysterious substance, sending a strange, bubbling sensation coursing through his veins. But his eyes snap open, a sharp, calculating look replacing his confusion. This masked man holds up the now empty syringe, asking if he feels better. Chen Zio demands to know who they are, wary of this unexpected rescue. This man removes his mask, introducing himself as a researcher studying human evolution. His student, a woman with pink hair, steps forward and offers a simple hello. This professor explains the gas was a security measure, but he is more interested in Chen Zio's unique abilities. Chen Zio thanks him for the save, but his eyes betray his deep suspicion. He glances around, noticing refrigerators stocked with countless medical vials. And he cannot shake the feeling that this place is more than it seems. A suspicion confirmed by the sight of a massive dinosaur skeleton. This is no simple warehouse, but a high-tech lab with a secure gate. He wonders what kind of medicine storage this could possibly be. This professor offers him free supplies as an apology for the misunderstanding. Not one to refuse a gift, Chen Zio begins packing his bag with medicine. He offers a curt thanks, his guard still completely up. As Chen Zio walks away, the professor watches him with an unreadable expression. A sinister smile spreads across his face, hinting at a hidden agenda. Back at his own building, the sun sets on another chaotic day. Chen Zio finally reaches the safety of his own front door. He leans against it, exhausted, thinking about his strange encounter, because the memory of the professor's unsettling gaze still makes his skin crawl. Back in his apartment, a message pops up from a desperate neighbor in the group chat. And just like that, his system harvests a massive wave of anger, hatred, and jealousy. He calmly packs a bag with medicine, ready to respond to the plea for help. But he pauses for a moment, a calculating look in his red eyes, deciding he will play along with whatever twisted game his neighbors have cooked up. He spots a stray white cat in the alley, its eyes glowing in the dusk, and asks the small creature for a favor, attaching a tiny camera to its back. He scoffs, knowing their moral blackmail will not work as he reviews his own intel. He publicly calls out a woman named Wang Wei, offering to double whatever she shares, and the woman is stunned, realizing he somehow installed cameras in the stairwell. She seethes with anger, caught on video despite her careful hoarding. Suddenly, an axe smashes through her door and she screams in terror. As a man bursts in, demanding she hand over all her food and water, his shadow looms over her as he warns her not to force their hand, and she can only cower on the floor, completely at the man's mercy. Soon, a whole mob of men are ransacking the apartment, grabbing every last box. Meanwhile, the woman he rescued helps organize the supplies the men are bringing in. This hoarder is left bruised and defeated, her apartment now completely empty. Elsewhere in the building, a group of men mourn over a dead neighbor's body, but their grief turns to panic, fearing the body will rot and spread disease. Just then, a calm, well-dressed man appears, telling the panicked crowd to settle down. He introduces himself and his team as medical personnel from the CDC, here to help. He calmly puts on a pair of gloves, explaining they were delayed by blocked roads. Examining the body's bloodshot eye, he stresses the need for immediate, safe disposal. This residents are filled with relief, believing the government has not forgotten them. This professor notes the signal scrambled, confirming his elusive target is somewhere nearby, and a woman recognizes the man as Professor Lin, questioning his sudden appearance here. Chen Zio watches from the shadows, suspecting the professor is the one tracking him. Suddenly, his phone buzzes in his pocket, grabbing his immediate attention. And a text message appears on his screen, a stark warning to beware of the doctor. His face falls into shadow as he processes the cryptic and dangerous warning. A close-up on his glowing red eye reveals his suspicion has now been confirmed. He realizes this means there are other unknown parties keeping tabs on his movements. In a strange aside, a man comments on a new series' weekly release schedule. This professor plays the part of a caring doctor, offering help for any heatstroke. Chen Zio watches the performance, his distrust for the professor growing even stronger. As he mingles with the residents, someone points out what looks like bloodstains on his coat, though another person speculates it could just be some kind of dried chemical reagent. Chen Zio recalls his past life after a heatwave. Medical staff took blood and people vanished. Meanwhile, in a desolate alley, a lone white cat eats from an open can. This professor appears, petting the cat and realizing it is the source of the signal scramble. He then feels his pocket, realizing with a smirk that he has been discovered. This cat stares him down, and Chen Zio's system harvests his frustration and unwillingness. Elsewhere, dozens of people have gathered in an underground garage to escape the oppressive heat. This professor and his assistant conduct checkups, asking an old man for his medical history. From a distance, a hooded Chen Zio observes the entire suspicious operation. A woman questions why they need to draw her blood for a simple health check, but he casually dismisses her concerns, claiming it is nothing more than routine testing. In his other hand, however, he secretly holds a vial of a strange blue liquid. He offers the vial to an injured man, calling it a new broad-spectrum enhancer. Professor Lin injects a blonde man, telling him he will recover soon. And the man offers his thanks, though his expression is uneasy, his eyes narrowing with suspicion as sweat drips down his face. While Chen Zio senses he is being observed just as he observes others. Elsewhere, a group of thugs helps their injured friend Abu walk through an alley, and Abu cries out in agony, claiming his bones feel like they are on fire. Beneath his bandages, dark, twisted veins begin to spread across his arm. A man with a goatee breaks the tension, pondering a series release schedule. Another character enthusiastically announces double updates for the story, pleading with the audience to show their support for the series. In another scene, a man learns a serum contained nanomachine trackers, while an investigator looks on in shock, remembering a polished shoe. He reads a report on a tablet. A prototype agent died of neural collapse. He examines a photo of a clean, precise cut on a victim's body, linking it to the corpse of the gang leader Liu Heifeng. This investigator notes the fatal wound was unnaturally neat and smooth. A silver-haired thug grabs him, demanding to know what happened to his friend, and the investigator shows him a photo of Chen Zio, asking for his location. This thug immediately agrees, offering to give up Chen Zio's home address. This investigator offers to take the injured man to his lab for treatment, but the thug panics, begging to just be sent home with antibiotics instead. Back at the safe house, someone presses the call button on Chen Zio's intercom, and Professor Lin's face appears on the screen, asking if they can talk. This professor from the lab ponders a new series release schedule, a strange break in the action. A blue-haired man shouts about the fair and honest update schedule for all readers. While another character enthusiastically begs the audience for their support, a man in a suit stands outside Chen Zio's door, apologizing for the late-night visit. He glances at the sky, commenting on the oppressive heat and cloudy night. This front door creaks open, revealing nothing but darkness within. Inside, the visitor cuts to the chase, asking if Chen Zio knew the heatwave was coming. Chen Zio smirks, sarcastically crediting a prophetic contractor for his preparations. His calm, confident gaze never wavers, revealing nothing of his true thoughts. He then asks the professor to recommend the murder weapon he supposedly used. This professor, now identified as Lin, returns a knowing and slightly sinister smile. Chen Zio grins back, the two of them locked in a silent battle of wits. Professor Lin states that two men died recently, both killed by a professional hand. He then directly confronts Chen Zio, mentioning the victims had conflicts with him. These two men face each other across the room, the air thick with unspoken accusations. Chen Zio deflects, questioning why the professor arrived with a medical kit in hand. He presses further, asking how the professor found his unlisted address. This professor simply gestures to his phone, revealing the source of his information. And Chen Zio's expression hardens, a flicker of alarm in his eyes. This screen shows his partner Zhang Qiang badly injured and on life support. Chen Zio asks about his condition, realizing his friend has fallen into this old fox's trap. This professor explains his partner is evolving, adapting to the heat with a new treatment. Chen Zio wonders if this is a human experiment, demanding to know the professor's true purpose. Professor Lin offers a syringe, claiming it is an immune enhancer with zero side effects. But Chen Zio sees the lie, knowing this old schemer experiments on living people. He decides this man must be dealt with, vowing to show him what real evolution looks like. Elsewhere, Zhang Qiang writhes in agony, a collar locked around his neck, while Professor Lin calmly asks his assistant how her first activation feels. As the monster roars, the professor gives his order, bring Chen Zio back alive. This mutated man smashes through a heavy metal door with incredible force, growling Chen Zio's name as he barrels toward his target in the parking garage. Chen Zio is already on the ground, bleeding from an attack from unexpected bone spikes. From his lab, the professor watches excitedly, ordering his assistant to record the data. But his assistant looks on in horror, questioning if this is truly saving humanity. Back in the garage, Chen Zio faces down the hulking, mutated form of his friend. Zhang Qiang's mutation intensifies, his body covered in sharp, bony protrusions. With a snarl, he vows to kill him, his feet morphing into claws that crack the ground. But suddenly, a sphere of red energy envelops the monster, stopping him in his tracks. Chen Zio stands, taunting his friend for his new hedgehog look, while the professor urges him on, wanting to see the absolute limits of his rage. His assistant watches the screen, completely baffled by Chen Zio's strange tactics. This mutated man screams in pure agony, bathed in a suffocating red light. A dark vortex materializes, twisting and pulling at the monster's arm, leaving him dismembered on the ground as Chen Zio looks on with cold disdain. He then reaches down and rips the control collar from his friend's neck. Professor Lin laughs maniacally, vowing to capture Chen Zio sooner or later. A flashback shows his partner, Zhang Qiang, lying bloody and defeated on the ground. As the professor's hand rests on his head, offering a twisted form of mercy, Chen Zio's eyes are cold as he delivers a chillingly sarcastic reply. Polished dress shoes step away from the scene of the crime, leaving a trail of blood. A new man in a suit claps, calling the display wonderful as Chen Zio demands to know who is there. Our boy's glowing red eyes narrow, sizing up this unexpected observer. This newcomer's pristine shoes stand in a growing pool of dark blood. He introduces himself as Chen Shixing, commenting on the pungent smell of death. He praises the fight, noting that this new era will give rise to new gods, and Chen Zio prepares his power, ready for another confrontation. This man speculates Chen Zio is one of Professor Lin's experiments, prompting a sharp accusation. Without another word, Chen Zio dashes forward, closing the distance instantly. With a sharp snap of his fingers, he unleashes his unseen power. A memory of Professor Lin surfaces, calling Chen Zio a perfect sample destined for more. Chen Zio's fury boils over, declaring the professor crossed a line he never should have. In the present, Professor Lin's knees buckle and he collapses to the ground. Admitting Chen Zio's power is impressive, but revealing he has already sent out the data. He dies with a final, chilling laugh, claiming the seeds of chaos have been sown. Chen Zio watches, a cold sweat on his brow as the professor's words hang in the air. Suddenly, the professor's pink-haired assistant appears, offering him something he might need. She confesses her role, vowing to create a cure, not a monster-making poison. Later, Old Man Wang explains he is taking water to a neighbor whose grandson has heat stroke. Chen Zio advises him to look after himself first in these desperate times. But the old man insists he has lived long enough and cannot bear to watch children suffer. A new, well-dressed man named Chen Shixing appears, commenting on the pungent smell of death, and he praises the impressive fight, noting that a new age of gods is dawning. He casually summons a swirling vortex of dark energy in the palm of his hand, accusing Chen Zio of being one of Professor Lin's half-finished experiments. With a sharp snap of his fingers, Chen Zio unleashes his unseen power. As Professor Lin smirks, saying he knew a perfect sample would never stay ordinary, Chen Zio's eyes narrow with cold fury, declaring the professor has crossed a line. Suddenly, Professor Lin's legs buckle and he collapses to his knees. He coughs, admitting Chen Zio is impressive but revealing he has already sent out the data. And with his last breath, he laughs that the seeds of chaos have been sown. Chen Zio watches the man's demise, a single bead of sweat on his face. He stares grimly at the vial of blue liquid the professor gave him. This story pauses for a moment to show the Scanlation team's credits. This pink-haired assistant vows to find a real cure, not the professor's monster serum. Elsewhere, Old Man Wang tells Chen Zio he is bringing water to a sick child, but Chen Zio advises him to prioritize his own survival in these desperate times. This old man insists he cannot stand to see a child suffer. From the shadows, Professor Lin watches the exchange with a calculating smile. In another part of the building, a woman gives a bottle of water as an offering, this precious resource passing from one set of desperate hands to another. This action pauses once more for a Scanlation team credit page. A well-dressed man named Chen Shixing wipes his mouth, remarking on the smell of death, complimenting an impressive fight and heralding the rise of new gods. Elsewhere, a woman sadly presents a bottle of water as a daily offering, her hands carefully passing the precious resource to an older man.